Welcome, we're back. Sloan Cold Facts Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Sloan. Today's guest is an A-Leaf legend. He was a man-child growing up. I was in Europe playing, and I heard about this young, athletic, 6'6", 8th grader. Went on to become a high-level, high-major basketball player. Played for the Houston Hoops growing up. Garnered a bunch of attention nationally recruiting-wise. Then got to the college. As an athlete that he is, he went to another sport, made the league, not from basketball, from in the NFL. Not many guys have pulled this off. He's a husband, a father. He's giving back to his community. A living legend. Kids at A-Leaf look up to him. He got generations of dudes who are our age who look up to him. Many stories about this guy. Spent a lot of time. A great dude, Mr. Fendi Onobun. Fendi, welcome to the Sloan Cold Facts Podcast, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me, man. I'm honored.
How you been, man?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. I'm healthy. Kids healthy. Wife healthy. Family's good, man. Can't complain, bro.
So, Fendi, man, our show, we like to give people their flowers while they're here. And I'm going to salute you, man. Like I said, growing up, you were a living legend in A-Leaf. And then I got to know you, obviously, after you were in the NFL. You've always been a stand-up guy. You've always been a guy who is big on community, big on family, big on what you believe in.
Yeah.
Right? And so, going on right now, we got the Kyrie Irving situation, and not to, dwell on a lot. It's just, we texted about it earlier. I think the NBA is trying to make an example out of Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
I think, as a man, you should be able to stand on what you believe in and stand on your thoughts, stand on your actions. And I think that what they're doing is trying to, almost back in the slavery days when slave masters would take the smartest slave and they would whip him in front of all other slaves to set an example. And I think that's really what the NBA is trying to do with Kyrie, with these standards of him having to join the team, these 6 things that just seem like almost like inhumane almost. Kind of give your thoughts briefly on the Kyrie situation.
Man, it's a tough situation. I think we all should, be able to have freedom of speech and speak our mind. However, at the same time, I'm not a fan of hate speech, and I don't even think it was a hate speech from his end. I think he was using his platform to educate, his people. And with that, maybe, the misinformation or the miseducation on what was actually in the book or in the movies that he was promoting or whatnot, I think is what's kind of created this hoopla over everything. And my thing is this: I understand that when you're in a position of influence, maybe somebody who is not as highly regarded as a Kyrie Irving, would probably do the same thing and nobody would say anything about it.
Right.
But that being said, him being in the position that he is and the level of influence that he has, he's taking advantage of his platform to share that information. However, like you said, you feel like the NBA is trying to make an example out of him, and I can definitely see the same thing. I feel like it's excessive. I feel like,
right.
He had the opportunity to apologize, regardless of how long it took him to apologize. Maybe he looked back in retrospect and saw that, hey, there were some things that I might have communicated, without all the information that may have offended a group of people. Nonetheless, he apologized. And then I think, to be like, hey, you got to, meet with these people, or you got to donate X amount of dollars and make an example out of him, in my opinion, I feel like is excessive. I feel like, you say your apology and you move forward with the education things that are necessary for, a rebuilding process. And my thing also is like, hey, if it's going to be like this towards him, just make sure if it's the other way around,
keep the same energy.
Keep that same energy.
Facts,
you know?
Yeah, and my thing is that, kind of like what Jay Williams said, this this movie is on Amazon's platform.
Yep.
There has been no smoke for Jeff Bezos or Amazon at all.
No. Strictly
on Kyrie. And the movie is profiting. The profits are up 200%.
And it's been there for years.
Yeah, and like no one said anything, to Jeff Bezos, asked him to take it down. No one says anything to Amazon. It seemed like everyone's focus is on Kyrie, and that's the part, like you said, feels excessive to me. Kind of shifting gears to the takeoff death here in Houston. You growing up in A-Leaf, me growing up in Acres Home, man, we've been around situations to where, I mean, even quite frankly, as adults, we've been in situations very similar. Yeah. Dudes shooting dice at the bowling alley, at the club. You know, guys got guns on them, money, XYZ, et cetera. Talk about your feelings on that, man. You know, like I said, being in, you know, you playing in the NFL, being in similar situations, as far as being around guys, you know, who had possibly had guns in the hood, and y'all kind of hanging out, doing your thing. Give your thoughts on the takeoff situation here in Houston,
bro. When I heard that, I was broke. It was early too. I actually got a text about it that day, like 5 a.m. and I was just in disbelief. I couldn't believe it, and you know, trying to find out the information is true. You know, trying to look, you know, check sources, looking, you know, news sites, Instagram, you know, and as the day went on, it you know, obviously it was true. And it's just, man, like it's sad, man, because I feel like we continue to lose people to senseless stuff, man. I mean, you talk about Nipsey, you talk about Pop Smoke, you talk about PNB and now Takeoff, and it's just like we're losing too many of our own, you know. And I mean, I'm gonna say it like this, bro, we deserve to grow old. You know what I mean? And it's just like time and time again we see these situations in our communities. It's got to stop, man. You know, because we're doing it to ourselves. You know, there's already enough plight against us in this world, and when you have these situations where, you know, be it, you know, culturally, just, you know, shooting dice, playing games, talking whatever, and things get heated, and the next thing you know, it's nothing to take a man's life. You are like, the people you are affecting is not just that person that you have with that beef. You know, this guy's a father or a brother or a son or an uncle, you know what I mean? You're affecting so many people, and it's happening too often. And so it's devastating, man. It's really devastating.
Yeah. All right, man. Now we're going to kind of, again, shine the light back on you. Fendi, you're a 2006 high school graduate, right?
05.
05. I'm sorry, 05, right. A-Leaf Taylor.
Yeah.
It was a new school.
Yeah.
Very new school. I'm 2001, so like I said, when I was kind of just starting my overseas career, even in college, actually, I was in college actually kind of finishing up. They were saying it was a monster out of A-Leaf Taylor. Growing up, you played for the Houston Hoops.
Yeah.
Talk about that experience, man, playing for the Houston Hoops and like what that meant to you.
You know, playing for the Hoops changed my life. I was playing, started playing basketball at 5, 6 years old. Kind of went through a tumultuous childhood, you know, being kidnapped by my biological mother, and that's a whole another situation. But, you know, coming back to my pops, him getting full custody of me, and him trying to just put me in something to, I guess, take my mind off of the situation I just gone through. And so basketball was introduced to me at 6 years old, and fell in love with it at day one. And, you know, just playing ball outside, you know, shooting on baskets and crates and things of that nature, because you don't have the money to get a hoop. And then really when I started playing organized basketball, I was Hal Pastner found me, man. Hal Pastner found me playing at Fendi. You know, I was playing with some AAU team, but you know, and sure enough, man, he come with the bag and the Nikes and the shoes, and hey, we traveling to Florida and playing this tournament like as a 12-year-old kid. You like, yeah, like sign me up. And so yeah, man, signed to play with them, played in, I think it was like the YBOA national tournament, bro. And I never looked back, man. The rest was history.
That's big time. So who were some of your AAU teammates growing up playing for the Hoops?
We had a squad, man. David Devison, you know, point guard out of Clements, and Fort Bend Marshall. Martellus Bennett, you know, one of my best friends. We obviously went to school together. Jermichael Finley, you know, he UT product.
Big time athletes,
you know what I'm saying? Nick Wise, who also was at Arizona with me. Rashad Woods. I mean, listen, bro. The Hoops were, like, at that time, bro, and the Hoops were the team to be. You know what I'm saying? It was either you were with Yuri squad or you were Howell squad. And, you know, and so, you know, I remember, you know, looking up at cats like Carlos Hurt, you know, TJ Ford, Mecca Okafor, Marcus Spears. I mean, these cats are 01, 02, you know, class, and I was a young buck, but it's like you always wanted to just be on the hoops. You know what I mean? You always wanted to play in the big time national tournaments, play against the best level in the country, how to fly kicks. You know what I mean? And it's part of the game, man. And like I said, being able to play for them really changed my life. Coming up and giving me the opportunity to have the exposure to be seen by big time colleges.
And what was that like for you, man? Like growing up in A-Leaf, and then getting to travel all over the country, playing for the Hoops and playing against other high level kids.
You know, while you're in it, you know, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, you don't really see, or you don't really like, it's hard to take in what you're experiencing because you're just a kid hopping on planes and playing ball. You know, you're doing what you do at home, but you're just doing it at another location and against, you know, top level competition. So, you know, while I was in it, I didn't realize how big time that was. You know, a lot of people come to me like, man, you traveling, you sponsored by Nike, this, that. But I didn't see it that way, man. I was just hooping and I wanted to play against the best. But obviously in retrospect, man, you look at like a kid at an A-Leaf having the opportunity to fly out and go to the West Coast, go to the East Coast, playing these tournaments each and every weekend, man, it's truly a blessing. And, you know, I guess back then I didn't really notice, but, you know, looking back now, man, it's a hell of an opportunity that not a lot of kids get, you know, and if you have the talent and the ability to do so, man, you know, that ball can take you places. Talk
about the culture of Houston basketball during your time you were in high school. You just mentioned some of the guys, Carlos Hurd, TJ Ford, some of the guys you played with, Nick Wise and Rashard Woods. Talk about the culture of the city basketball-wise during that time.
Houston basketball was hot, bro. We had a lot of cats in the Houston area that was making noise nationally. Just, you know, first off top, Gerald Green. You know, he was McDonald's All-American, #1 player in the country, you know. Just there were a lot of guys in Houston in that year. And even guys, you know, below it, you know, 06, 07. Like I said, you know, Martellus, Ace. You know, you think about some other cats that were just making noise nationally. Houston basketball was a hotbed. You know, you had guys going to UT, A&M, you know, myself going to Arizona. It was just like one of the hot spots. And I believe that year, even out of Texas, Byron Eaton was a McDonald's All-American. CJ Miles was All-American. Gerald Green was All-American. I mean, that's 3 kids out of Texas right there.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, the competition was hot. And, you know, I would say just like there were a lot of guys coming out of Houston that were making noise, and it was just a time where, you know, if you was from Houston, they knew you could hoop. You know, in Houston or Texas is known as a football state.
Correct.
But I feel like after, you know, that 01 class, 02, it kind of died down a little bit. We had a few cats, I think, Cartier Martin, Lenny Smith, those cats,
Kenny
right?
Perkins,
and then, KP and Perk and those guys, and so we were like coming up in that, you know, that 04, 05, 06 and kind of like resurging, you know, the Houston basketball market.
So in high school, the recruiting process, how crazy was that for you?
Man, I got my first offer in 9th grade by UT. I was being recruited by UT, Baylor.
You know, this is basketball.
This is basketball. I mean, I didn't touch a football until, you know, later in life, but UT, Baylor, all the Pac-10 schools, just, and again, you got these coaches coming into A-Leaf Taylor High School, you know, we're a new school, you know, kids out the West, just not really being exposed or seeing something like this. And again, like when you're in it, you don't really realize you're just doing you, bro. You just hooping, you know, and you got coaches watching you. And so I knew early that I wanted to give myself the best chance to go to the NBA. That was that was always the goal ever since I was a little kid. I thought I was gonna be 6'10" because I was like I was 6'6" in the 8th grade, and you know, I wanted to put myself in the best position to go to the league, and just kind of looking at the different schools that was recruiting me. Arizona just played in a way and in a style that I felt like was comparable to the NBA. Free-flowing West Coast offense, guys were running, getting up and down the floor, putting up a lot of points.
This when Arizona was rolling, just got Jawan McClellan,
J-Mac, they had Hassan Adams, Salim Stoudemire,
rolling,
Channing Frye. I mean, these are all pros, right?
Chase Budinger.
Chase came in 06.
Oh, yeah, 06, okay.
But, you know what I'm saying, like, that was the level that I saw myself in. I wanted to put myself in that position because, you know, I want to go to the league. And so now, I chose Arizona as a junior.
Okay.
I committed early and got out the way.
What schools were on you harder besides Arizona or harder
UT,
or hard as Arizona?
UT was on me hard.
Rick Barnes.
Baylor was on me hard.
Okay.
UConn and UCLA and Stanford.
Oh wow.
And so out of those 5-6 schools, it was I was looking at UCLA and Arizona. UT had PJ Tucker.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, I really wasn't sure about, the playing time situation over there. So, and I felt like either Andre Iguodala or Hassan Adams would be on their way out, to the league. And so, I chose Arizona, and it was a hell of a program to play for.
Your time at Arizona, you had a bunch of dudes coached by legendary coach, Hall of Famer Lute Olson. Talk about that time frame in your life, playing basketball for one of the top 5, top 10 programs in America.
To this day, man, I say that Coach Olson, RP coach, is one of the best coaches, and not the best coach I've ever had, just as far as like breaking the game down and being a teacher of the game. I really thought I loved basketball until I got to Arizona. And when I got there, I mean, them cats were gym rats, bro. Like gym rats, all of them. We were always playing pickup. Guys was always in the gym working on their craft. And again, I hadn't seen this in A-Leaf. I didn't see this, in Southwest Houston. You shooting, you working, but work really working and perfecting your craft. Like it was a completely different level. And so, coming in, like I was kind of taken aback, just understanding like what it took to really polish your game. And I was redshirted. I was redshirted my freshman year. And they pulled the red shirt halfway into the season. When you're going against cats like J-Mac, Hassan Adams, Mustafa Shakur every single day, you got no choice, bro. You're going to get better. And so, they pulled the red shirt, and I had an opportunity to play. And that was a fun year, man, because what kid that plays ball wouldn't want to play high-level D1 against North Carolina, against the UCLAs of the world? Yeah. And it was wild, bro.
Yeah, and Fendi, you mentioned how hard those guys work. I think a lot of people, they don't really understand what it really takes, especially like you said, kids from the inner city who they think they're working hard, or they think because they got shots up that day and they played like that's enough. But you just mentioned how hard and how many hours, how much time those guys spend in the gym. Elaborate on that, Fendi, for a kid watching to understand like the amount of hours and the amount of work, including the study hall, including the training table, including the tutor that you have to do, not to get to the league, Fendi, just to see the floor.
Just to see the floor
at a place like Arizona.
Just to see the floor. I mean, here's the thing, bro. You're gonna have to come in and get your shots up, get your weight training in, do your running, but it's the cats that are in there 30, 45 minutes, an hour before practice, getting up shots with managers. It's the cats getting up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., getting up shots with managers, working on, watching film. It's just that level of intentionality to your game, because when you're at a school like that, bro, like you're seeing pros every night. And so if you want to be able to compete and get on the floor, like that's what it takes. You can't just do what's asked of you. Right. That's the bare minimum. Correct. They expect you to do what's asked. It's the cats that are really putting in their hours, if you will, that you see a difference in the game. And to be honest with you, bro, I want to piggyback. I feel like I wish I knew this when I was younger, but a lot of guys put a lot of emphasis on being able to put the ball in the hole. Okay. Right? Yep. And so there's only one ball, but there's plenty different roles that you can play on the team. And you can still be an impactful player being a role player. And I think for me coming in, I want to showcase the ability to shoot the ball, be able to put the ball on the floor, like showing everything that I've been working on, and not understanding that you're a piece to a puzzle. And you can't be the guy. Everybody can't be the guy. There's one guy or two guys that are going to be your main scorers, but who's your defensive stopper, right? Who's running, who's playing the passing lanes, who's getting rebounds, who's impacting the game
right now,
and giving your team, more opportunities and offensive possessions, right? Those things. And I think coaches want to see cats who are not only willing to sacrifice, but they can also trust that they're going to, be in and do what's asked of them, even if it's not what they want to do, So I didn't understand that coming in, and was really salty about the role that they had me play, as opposed to like really committing, and earning the coach's trust to say, okay, hey, this is one of the guys that we can trust, and then you can grow with that. And so I would say that to young cats, man, don't get caught up in trying to put the ball in the hole or trying to average 30 or 20. It's not a lot of cats averaging 20 in the collegiate level anyway. But if you can find your role and be the best player on the team in that role, your time will come.
And Fendi, listen, for a reference point, you are a top 40 player in the country. Basketball coming out of high school, coming to Arizona. And so as a top recruit, a top 40 recruit, you're speaking on having to learn how to play a role.
Yeah.
And being salty and how difficult that was for you. Speak on that, man. You had so many accolades. You were one of the best players in the country. Come to a place like Arizona. You get there, you realize, hey, like I got to do more. And then now you realize you might even be a little bit behind.
Yep.
Right? And so now you're upset. When did it, I guess, in your mind, when did it change? Like, when did the light bulb go off? Like, you know what? Like, maybe I'm not who I thought I was, or maybe I need to work harder, or like you just talked about, when did you figure that out? Well, you know what? Let me play a role so I can get on the floor.
It was after my sophomore year. I really had a come to Jesus moment, if you will, and just I had to really decide if A, I'm going to stay at this university and continue my career, or B, if I'm going to jump ship and go elsewhere. And I think my father raised me, man. He's Nigerian descent, man. You make the decision, commit to that decision. We don't quit.
Yep.
This is the school you said you want to go to, and so either you can cry about the circumstance, or you can do what you can to control whatever's within your power to make the circumstance better. And so after my sophomore year, I just committed. And even on top of that, we had a lot of different things going on with Coach. I think that was kind of the beginning when Coach's health situation started happening. So Coach O was there my first 2 years. And then the last 2 years, we kind of had a few different coaches come into the program. But I had just committed, man, that I'm going to be a team first guy. I'm going to do whatever is needed of me, whether it's veteran leadership, things that are not seen on the floor, or leading the younger guys and helping them transition so that they can be ready for college ball, or if that means just setting picks and getting rebounds and playing tough nosed defense because that's what's needed of me. Right. I was down to do that, and it took me some years to really commit to that. But once I did, man, like once my perspective shifted, I knew either way I was going to be good, whether it's ball overseas or whatever, because I knew I could play. I was at Arizona, you know, and so I think after my sophomore year, things really just clicked, and I just made the decision that I'm here and I'm committed, and I'm gonna do what's asked of me.
So your senior year, Arizona comes and goes. For me, man, I always like wonder like what goes through guys' mind, like what made you decide to like play football? Like what was like, yo, you know what? I've been a basketball player, and so you never played football in high school?
No, not in high school. I played, in
Little League, middle school, but nothing in high school
ever. Didn't even touch the field
at all.
Never.
Freshman year, nothing,
bro.
So you done with Arizona? What made you say, you know what? I'm gonna take my talents to the football field. Like, did somebody hit you? Did the coach hit you? Did somebody say, hey, yo, I saw you were an athlete. You look like. What's the dude playing for the Chargers? Tight end Antonio Gates, or dude for the Chiefs, other tight end Tony Gonzalez. Like, did someone hit you back? Yo, you kind of fit that mold, or it was like, or was that an internal decision?
It was all above. It was all above. I remember my senior year, we were getting ready for March Madness.
Okay,
and we had just beat, I can't remember who we played. We had just beat, it's the red team, it was Utah. We just beat Utah, getting ready we had just beat Cleveland State, and then we were getting ready for beat Utah, and we were going to the Sweet 16 to play Louisville. They were #1 seed. Terrence Williams.
Oh, yeah, loaded.
Sosa, them cats, right?
Tough, yeah.
And real tough team. They actually ended up winning it that year. And so our strength coach from the football program had told me that when I was working out, a scout from the Falcons was inquiring about me.
When you working out where?
I was working at a school, like just lifting weights, doing extra work, right? And so he was like, hey man, one of the Falcon scouts was asking about you. We have a pro day coming up next weekend. Do you want to be a part of that? And I'm like, what? What you mean? He was like, do you want to be a part of the pro day? Like, what does that consist of? He said, hey, run around. He said, can you run? I said, of course I can run. Can you jump? Yep. Can you catch a ball? Yep. That's all you got to do. So I'm like, all right, let me see how we do in the tournament and see if we can make it. So we're gonna get smacked by Louisville.
Okay.
And so coincidence has it, where I am available to do the pro day. And so I do the pro day, man, and listen, bro.
Now wait, hold on. You taking us too fast. You're taking us too fast. So the season's over.
Season's over.
The pro day is when? That next weekend?
That next weekend.
So during that week, were you thinking like, I'm gonna just go out here and do something, or were you think like, yo, what is this like? So, and did he prep you? Did you have to like work on running a route? Did you do any prep work?
Yeah, so he didn't necessarily like prep me, but like I'm over here trying to do research. I got friends in college, like, I'm like, hey bro, these scouts want me to run routes. I don't know what I'm doing, so I go get a pair of cleats from the equipment manager, and bro, it's just like I'm out here running on dirt. I'm in a desert, bro. So I'm out here trying to run routes on dirt. Trying to figure out the jargon and the lingo and dig routes and slants. And again,
and for people that don't know, listen, man, this is a Division I basketball player at a very high level. This is Arizona we're talking about. He has no football experience, no high level high school, no 7-on-7 experience. This is a basketball player first. Through and through. And the strength coach asked you to come to the NFL Pro Day at the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
And so this is your first time wearing cleats
First time wearing cleats.
Since 7th grade.
Since 7th grade.
And you got to learn how to run a route in 5 days. All right, okay, go ahead. I had to paint that picture.
Yeah, and so, yeah, man, I go out there and do the best I can. And so I vividly remember there was a scout from the Jets that said, hey, son, I can see the athletic ability, right? I can see the athletic ability. But he said, you're green behind the ears. And so my advice to you, if this is something you want to do, go to school, use your 5th year of eligibility, right? Learn the game, play the game, get involved, right? Come back next year and do this again, and let's see where you are. And so that was one part of it. And then I remember earlier that year, I had a tibial bone stress fracture.
Okay.
Right? And so I did an internship with the Phoenix Suns. Steve Kerr at the time was the general manager. David Griffin, who was the general manager, I believe, with the New Orleans Pelicans, he was the senior vice president of basketball operations. Okay. The tie with Coach Oates and Steve Kerr being a Arizona. Yeah. And so I had a class where I had the ability to go work for or do an internship with the Suns and get credit for it. Okay. And so that summer going into my senior year, I got to like learn the NBA operations, scouting, video, seeing all the draft guys come in. I believe that year, that was when Lopez twins were in the draft. DeAndre Jordan was in the draft. So I'm seeing all these cats come in and work out just because I always thought, like I was always the type of guy too, like, hey, if it doesn't work out for me on the sports side of things, I still want to be involved in the game in some capacity. Yep. Scouting, coaching, I love the game of basketball. So I thought it was a phenomenal opportunity for one, to network and build relationships, and to see a different side of the game while I was injured and I couldn't do much physically. And so I remember at the end of that senior year, David Griffin, sat down with me. We actually had a conversation on the phone, and he was like, "Hey, look, man, as far as the league, it's going to be a tough, opportunity. It's not. Yeah. I don't think, just shooting it straight to you, that's going to be a viable option. The league, right?
Playing, you're talking about? Yes, okay.
Playing, right? Yep. It doesn't mean that you can't sign up on a summer league team. Correct. Get some film. But who knows? But I think with this football opportunity, you have a hell of an opportunity to change the course of your life, right? And so I would say that David Griffin, that conversation with David Griffin was really the one that after the Jet Scout had talked to me, that conversation with David Griffin really solidified it for me, because he said, you don't want to be 35, 40 and look back and be like, man, I wonder what life would be if I would have took advantage of that football opportunity. And he said, at the end of the day, if football doesn't work out for you, basketball will always be here, because you're a ball player. So there's where you can find work hooping overseas anywhere. And so, after that conversation, meeting with the scout, talking to Dave, I remember I said, okay, well, I'm gonna use my 5th year of eligibility, which going back to my freshman year when they pulled that red shirt, and then I pulled that red shirt, I wouldn't have had that 5th year of eligibility. Yeah. You feel me? So God works in mysterious ways, man, and I took advantage of it. And so I wanted to come back home. I hadn't been in Houston in a while. Arizona had Rob Gronkowski, who's like the greatest tight end ever played the game. And so I want to put myself in a position where I'd have an opportunity to play, but also be able to come back home and change the scenery.
Okay.
And so I came home, came to the crib. Kevin Sumlin was the head coach at the time. Tony Levine, shout out Coach Tony Levine. He was the one who looked at my film. I remember I made a YouTube video. This is after the pro day. I had more time to kind of work on the skill set, blocking, running routes, understanding, you know, different patterns and things of that nature. And we put together a YouTube tape, and I sent it to the tight ends coach at U of H.
Oh wow, okay.
He called me back.
So you put together your own YouTube tape,
bro,
set up yourself,
set up myself, bro.
Send it to U of H tight ends coach.
U of H tight ends coach. He called me. He said, "Hey man, I wanna take a look at you and get you down here. Can't promise you a scholarship, but you know, if things work out, we can get you in the door." And so I went down there, visited the school. You know, it's like I'm on a whole recruiting process again, man. And I'm back at the crib, man. So it felt good. And so I ended up walking on the team.
So walk on. So they did no scholarship.
No scholarship, no training table.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But he said this. He said, Fendi, you know what? He said, if you listen to me and you let me develop you, I guarantee you whatever loans, Pell Grants, whatever you got to take out, you'll pay that tenfold.
Okay.
You'll be NFL tight end.
Okay.
And so I said, all right. And so he committed it was his duty to teach me the game, work with me, skill set, blocking, routes, everything. I mean, he really committed himself to making me a better ball player. And like, I didn't play much, you know what I'm saying? But we knew what the assignment was. I was there to go to the league. And so, yeah, man. So
now that transition for you from being a full-time basketball player to now you're a fifth-year walk-on. Now, I'm just to bring it full circle. Top 40 high school basketball player coming out of high school to now you're a fifth-year walk-on football player at U of H.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know the difference. You just at Arizona on full scholarship.
It's different.
Now you're a walk-on at U of H. Talk about the difference.
It was different, bro. But you know what, man? Like, I didn't feel otherwise with the guys, man. Like, Case Keenum was a quarterback. Patrick Edwards, another receiver who played in the league. James Cleveland, Tyron Carey, these are cats, man. These are, I mean, stats. You look their stats up, man. They took me under their wing. I don't know if Levine was like, hey, we got a project coming in. I need you to look after him. Yeah. But they made me feel like one of the guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like I remember we were playing 7-on-7, and I ran a corner route in the end zone. And again, just raw, just jumped up as high as I could, and I just reached it with one hand and caught it in the air. And from that day forward, everybody started calling me 50. Yeah. Like a 50-inch vertical. You know what I'm saying? Everybody started calling me 50, man. And man, they like, even though I was a walk-on, like I didn't feel like a walk-on. I felt like I was one of the guys, because it's like, yo, we got this 6'6" basketball player. Like, it's a story. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so, man, like I didn't feel otherwise, man. They really they made me feel welcome. And then when I got my first catch, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
what was that work like for you though, Fendi? The transition again. I keep mentioning this. This is a transition from a basketball player to a collegiate football player. How much prep work and time did you have to put in to get to that certain level?
It was tough, Sloan. I mean, for one, just the weightlifting in and of itself. Now, on the basketball floor, I was a bigger player anyway, and I was already a stronger, more physical guy. But in the weight room for football, like, I'm behind, you know, from as far as a tight end. Like, I'm not looking at to be a collegiate tight end. I'm looking at to be an NFL tight end. Like, I went in with the mindset that I'm here to go to the league. It's league or bust. Okay. And so, you know, just understanding like the weightlifting, I think that was the most challenging part, because I had never lifted weights like that. But once I got it, the body developed. I gained like 10 pounds of muscle, and just like understanding the handwork and the footwork and, you know, the different types of reads, and it was a lot, bro. It took a lot of time, but you know, the fact that I was working on my master's, so I had class at night. And so I had all day to really just study and watch film. You know, Levine would give me assignments like, hey, I want you to watch these different coverages. I want you to watch these different plays. I want you to understand what's going on, the entire concept. And so, you know, just the more I watched it, the more familiar I got with it, and you know, it took a time. It took about 6 months, but I eventually got it. Now, looking back at my film from then, it was like, bruh, you was trash.
You know,
but still, it was definitely a process, man, to admire, bro. Like, to come from not knowing anything about the game of football, walking on a football team, and turning into a football player.
That's crazy, man.
It's just, when you think about it, bro, it was
no,
crazy.
So you now you're on the U of H football team.
Yeah.
The season's going on. You say you're not getting much playing time.
Nah, I'm not getting much playing. Nah, they ran a 5-out spread offense.
So season's over. It's combine time, pro day.
Yep.
U of H.
Yep.
Now you're a year prepared.
Yep.
Talk about that experience of pro day for U of H.
So, yeah, man, I'm training for the pro day. All the guys coming out, all the seniors was just training with you know, with their trainers or whatnot. And I knew that the pro day for me was my Super Bowl. Like, that was my day. Like, I had the day marked on the calendar. I knew how many days I was till, et cetera, et cetera. And I knew that it would be different this time around, because I remember after our bowl game, literally after our bowl game, my phone rang and I had like 5 different agents call me. Like, hey, I'm such and such. Literally on the phone, hey, hold on. Hello, hey, I'm such and such agent from, you know. So I knew, I was like, okay, this is gonna be different. Yeah. You know, so once I signed with the agent this time around, had all the training equipment that I needed, had all the coaching that I needed, had all the meals that I needed, right? It was just, it felt different, right? Yeah. And coming now down to the pro day at U of H, there were about 20 scouts that came to see me, and we had scouts come to the school to see me throughout the year. Like, I met with the Bears, I met with the Vikings, the Texans. Like, they came through, so I knew, like, okay, like,
got a chance.
I got a chance, right?
Okay, yeah. And
so, yeah, man, I just knew that I had to do my thing, and I remember running, you know, 4.4, jumping.
And now you 6'6",
252.
Oh yeah, that's
you know, running 4.4, jumping 39. You know, catching everything that came my way. I'm running all the routes, catching over the shoulder. You know, I displayed, you know, some ability, and so that's when things really got crazy, because like I didn't really play that much. I had a couple catches, you know, for a few yards, a couple touchdowns, some field goal blocks. But then once the numbers came out, and they get sent out to all the scouts. Now the draft is just in a few weeks, and now everybody's calling me. So now I'm flying everywhere.
So now you have a great pro day.
Yeah.
Now NFL teams blowing you up.
Blowing me up, right? Because there's not a lot of information or film on me. Teams got to do their research. Like, yo, who's this?
A walk-on, 5th-year senior.
Who's this cat?
Who is this guy?
Yeah. And so, yeah, man, just kind of going through the process. Flying to different, you know, organizations, you know, going through their workouts, and it was tough, bro. It was a lot. I mean, I probably had like 6 or 7 workouts in like 3 or 4 weeks, and like 8 or 9 visits. But this was the most gratifying thing, because I told you that scout from the Jets, right in Arizona, came back to Houston, right? Came back to Houston. And he was like, "You did it. Like, you took my advice, man. Congrats. Like, I just want, you know, you took the advice and you're on the board. Like, people, like, we know about you now. You know, so, you know, best of luck to you." And he invited me out to New York, and I thought that's where I was going to end up going. And it showed a lot of interest. The Jets showed a lot of interest. So yeah, just to kind of come back full circle, you know, to see, like, man, like, you got the advice, you know, you took heed to the advice and you made something of yourself. And then, you know, I remember it was like the weekend before the draft, the Rams came down to Houston and put me through a workout. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't want to work out for them, bro. I'm like, man, I've been working out for everybody. I'm tired. Like, what's going on? And Rams came down, spent about 3 or 4 hours with me. And I was like, all right, I might be going to St. Louis, you know. And so yeah, man, ended up being the first pick of the 6th round by the Rams.
Man, that's
crazy.
Again, it's a crazy story.
And yeah, man, it's just
recruited out of high school as a basketball player. Just for, again, redundancy. Recruited out of high school as a basketball player. No high level football experience.
None.
Play 4 years of basketball at Arizona. The strength coach mentions someone's interested in you because of you working out, lifting weights. You create your own YouTube video of you as a football player, as a tight end. You become a fifth-year walk-on at U of H.
Yeah.
And then you get drafted in the 6th round of the NFL draft.
Crazy.
I've never, if I were a movie director, if I wrote scripts, that's a script. But it's a testament to you and to work. A lot of guys would have gave up. A lot of dudes would be like, I'm not doing this shit, man. Like, it's not serious along the way. But you saw it all the way through, all the way to getting drafted. So when you hear your name called in the NFL draft, it's day 2 of the draft.
Yeah.
What is that like for you to be like, yo, I got drafted in the NFL?
Bruh. There's a few moments in my life where it's just like you remember, they're imprinted in your brain.
Yeah.
And that's definitely one of them. You know, just I remember I'm seeing all these tight ends get drafted, you know, 4th round, 5th round. And like after the workouts and, you know, reading reports and things of that nature, it was, you know, hey, he could be a 7th round guy, you know, priority free agent, you know. That was kind of where I was, you know, thinking. And so they're getting ready to go through the 6th and 7th rounds. I remember vividly, man. I sit down, you know, my parents' house. I sit down on the couch, and I mean, like as soon as I sat down to watch the beginning of the 6th round, my phone rings. 314 area code. They call me and say, "Hey, this is such and such from the St. Louis Rams. We're getting ready to draft you with our next pick." And it was just like everything just went blank. Like I don't even remember. It just went blank, like for real. And so, obviously, man, you know, extremely excited, hugging parents, and just like. It's unbelievable, bro. You know, unbelievable. And so it's wild, G. Like even just sitting back thinking about it. You know, so
it's a crazy story, man.
Yeah, man.
You drafted the NFL, you have an NFL career. At what point in the NFL career did you realize, okay, like now I got to get ready for the next chapter of my life?
Oh, it's easy. In Jacksonville, this was my 5th year. So I bounced around a lot, practice squads, you know, active roster, practice squad, active roster, because I still had that title of like, hey, he's a project or he's green, right? Like, yeah, he has athletic ability, he has the speed, but can he put it together, right? And what does that look like? And how much time are we willing to invest into this project? You know, football's a volatile game, man. Yeah. And so, you know, injuries, things like that happen. So I started off in St. Louis, you know, bounced around and spent some time in Seattle, got with Chicago. And funny enough, Martellus was also there in Chicago. And there was another cat that went to our school named Cheddar Zugwu. So we had 3 guys
from A-Leaf
Taylor playing
for the Bears.
For the Chicago Bears at one point. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, I felt like that was a really good opportunity playing with cats like, you know, Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte, Jay Cutler, and just kind of seeing, I felt like that was like my first true opportunity to be a pro, right? Because in St. Louis, I was kind of like the project. Yeah. Let's see what he has. And then in Chicago, it's like there's an opportunity to really make the team and do reps with the ones and have an opportunity to start. And so kind of seeing that, but still not just quite ready. Like, you know, like the ability is there, but just wasn't quite there yet. And then landed with Jacksonville, and I felt like that was the time. Like 4 years in, like the game, you know, you play at an extremely fast level, and things were starting. The game was becoming slower than me now, right? It's becoming slower to me. I'm understanding different concepts. I'm seeing different things, able to, you know, change route paces and things of that nature. And then I ruptured my quadricep tendon. So, you know, it was like, that was in 2015. And yeah, man, I mean, I knew there, I was like, man, this might be it, you know? And so I dealt with a lot of, you know, tendonitis playing ball, you know, playing basketball. I dealt with a lot of tendonitis in my knees. And so football actually was even easier on my knees playing on the grass versus the hardwood.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And yeah, man, I ruptured my quadricep tendon, 5th year, rehabbed it, retore it. It was a wrap. I was like, that's it, dog. Yeah. And so, you know, I got to play in the league, man, which is a lot of cats can't say.
Absolutely.
But now it's like, okay, now what's
next?
next?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, I just trying to figure it out. I had a period of time where a lot of cats, man, they find their identity in what they do, bro. Yeah. And you got to think about this, Sloan. We've been doing this since
I always say that.
5, 6 years old.
I said it in the podcast, man, when I had DU and those guys. It's so difficult for pro athletes to figure out what's next because your identity is in that sport. Your identity is in that position, is in that arena, on that field. And so you're 25, 26, maybe you're 31 years old. You've been doing this for 20 years, 25 years. And it's like you have no work skills. You have no even people skills. You're not desirable in any company. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you have to offer?
In that time frame, you'll see guys really like go through it mentally more than anything else. And that's where, I always wish I could start a program to kind of help mentor guys in that space. Like, hey, okay, you have connections. You play at these universities, reach back out to your coach, reach back out to the alumni base. These people, they loved you, they coached you, they know who you are. Maybe they can help you, you know?
Yeah, bro. With that said, though, we are unique with the opportunity to play at high levels, and you remember, I'm sure you went through this at TCU, man. You got these these dinners you got to go to,
all the time,
you're talking to these people, and you don't realize when you're in it, but they're setting you up for networking opportunities.
Absolutely.
And like, even though we don't have the skill set, bro, we have the skill set, but they just don't. It's just done differently, right? And so I had to really think about, okay, I've been an athlete all my life, right? Yeah, never had a job before. Yeah. My resume is all sports. You know what I'm saying? But what can I really draw from, my education, the people that I've met, being in these banquets and dinners, and how I was able to, communicate effectively to people, be able to articulate and express what I want, knowing how to work within a team, dealing with different types of personalities. Like, bro, we have the skill set.
Fendi, you feel me? To all young dudes, when I talk to them who play, in college athletics, when y'all have these dinners, when you have these functions, don't sit with your teammates.
Yeah.
Don't stay huddled up with your teammates on Snapchat and Instagram. Those dudes at these functions, at these dinners, the ones with the ranges, with the Urises, with the fucking 550s, with the Maybachs.
Yeah.
These are the guys you need to connect with.
1,000%.
These are the guys you need to sit at the table with. You need to know. You need to have them. Obviously, they know who you are. You need to know like what they do, how they got on. They play football at that university. They play basketball at the university. Now they are CFOs. They're on their own business. You guys need to connect with those people.
1,000%.
Because they can help you achieve and get to that next level. I try to tell, hey man, y'all can chill in an apartment or in a dorm together. These functions, these alumni, these basketball, football alumni dinners is strictly business. You guys need to learn from these people who were there before you.
Yep.
Because they can help you in your career.
1,000%. And so yeah, man. I began to like dig down and really like think about, skill sets and things that I naturally have and things that I've learned over the years. And that's really where, first and foremost, man, giving back to my community, holding football camps, doing different types of drives, giving food back to the community, because that's always been a big part of who I am, man, just giving back, coming out of A-Leaf and understanding that there's a lot of kids who don't have the same type of opportunities, but going back and let them know that, hey, get your education, stay out the streets, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, focus on the craft. Like, and today it's even crazier, right? Like with just social media and all types of things that kids can do. Like, I have a heart to go back and talk to those kids and say, hey, you don't have to be a D1 level b-ball player, but you can be something else and get out. You know what I mean?
No, man, it's always so much talent in A-Leaf. It's crazy. But I grew up with Dante Stiggers and Matt White and Carlos Hurd and those guys, Rashard Lewis, and it's just so much talent. Even a guy like Toby, who's crazy how he's blown up and is a superstar now. Him being a talented football player from A-Leaf. Yeah, so the Leaf got so much talent, man. Like, and to see guys like yourself and Martellus and guys like Toby and Dante and what they're doing now, giving back, changing lives, it's inspiring. And I hope kids are paying attention. And I hope, you know, guys from your kids, from your community see you guys, look up to you guys. Like, hey, these guys were in our shoes, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, and now they've made it. Now they're giving back. Now they're successful. Now they have families and husbands and have kids and wives. You know what I mean? So for them, you guys are a beacon of light, a beacon of hope. And I hope, you know, you understand that.
I appreciate
you know, and things you've done in your life. And, you know, you got married, you got a beautiful family. Kind of talk about what you're doing now.
So I'm in some real estate.
Okay.
I feel like that is one of the best ways to build wealth, right? I'm not sure if you know, we got a family business, a bread shop, a bakery.
Oh, wow, okay.
Jolly Bakery. Something my dad started, invested in. It's doing really well, man. Doing really well. We're in HEB.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
In the Pearland area. And we're growing, man. We got a Dallas location. Our prime location is in A-Leaf off of Highway 6 and A-Leaf Clothing.
Okay.
So Pop started that about 15 years ago. It's just been growing slowly and slowly. And I have two other brothers who are also involved. And so, man, we keep it in the family, man. And that's really what I spend my time doing. You know, my family, my kid, raising my kids, being my beautiful wife, and helping with the family biz. And so, trying to create a legacy, right, and diversifying it, and also just, you know, learning different things in different areas to continue to grow as a Black man in America. Yeah,
Ben, you mentioned earlier your father raising you. That experience that you went through, how did that shape you today as far as you being a father, taking care of your kids, seeing what your dad did for you, how selfless he was, the sacrifices he made, to now where you are a father, leading a household with your own kids, raising your family? What was that like for you, seeing him doing that? How has that impacted you?
It was everything. You know, I mentioned earlier, I talked about, you know, when I was a kid, you know, getting kidnapped and being taken away from my father by my biological mother, and seeing the selfless act of my dad, you know, basically like depleting his 401k to go fight and get me back. And seeing the sacrifice that he made, you know, being a single parent, you know, working and taking me with him, and just the attention to detail that he instilled in me, the work ethic that he instilled in me, and anybody that grew up in a Nigerian household, man, the level of excellence is bar none. You know, it's excellence or nothing. And so I think, you know, it shaped me today. It has shaped me as a man who has high standards. You know, and I expect the same in everything that I do. Anything that put, you know, my name is on with my kids. And Sloan, it's a blessing, bro. Like, I have two beautiful boys, man. I love them more than anything else, man. Outside my wife, I love my wife.
That's smart, right?
Yeah,
there. Very smart.
Man, he's Fendi II. We call him Man.
Okay.
He's my oldest. He's 3.
Okay.
Prince is 1. And it's just a joy to like watch them grow, man. Like the different personalities, and seeing them interact with each other. And
being a Black father is so important.
Man, they need us. They need us.
So important,
they
man.
need us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, Fendi, man, I appreciate you, brother. Again, man, you are someone who these kids can look up to. You are an example to them. They can see you and know that you have a story of perseverance. You have a story of achievement, you know, and the things you've done. You deserve your flowers, and you deserve for people to, you know, look at you and be inspired by. And we appreciate you, man, joining Sloan Cold Facts. It's episode 11. Fendi Onobun. I appreciate you, brother.
I'm honored. Appreciate you, bro.
Sloan Cold Facts. We out.